whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Also known as G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, so we just fried the chicken, and we put the fried the chicken with some Nani's. We added some Nani's to a blend that y'all saw earlier, and then added shout out to that. How was it? It goes great, obviously. That's what he said. So that's Nani's Creole Blends. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to our website, Nani's, Nonis, CreoleBlends.com. NONISCREOLEBLENDS.com, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Oh, I can smell it right there.
Go ahead. You know how to do it, Neil.
Anyway, guys, try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Go to NonisCreoleBlends.com and order you some Nani's Creole Blends, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. Oh, we're going to try some more. Can't wait for the burgers.
Make your food more flavorful. Chicken, meat, or fish, Nani's goes great with every dish. Order at NonisCreoleBlends.com. We all know and love our B1 brother Gavin, also known as G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, what's up, family? Welcome to another live stream edition of Random Topic Sundays. Wherever you are, I hope you're blessed and doing safe. You can donate to this channel by going to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle at the bottom. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, smash up the likes, smash up the likes, hit that notification bell so you know when we'll go live next time. Sometimes I notice people I hear don't get their notifications, and I believe that's in part is because YouTube has us on a shadow ban and they scrub some of my subscribers. I have 1,300 subscribers, and yet I'm seeing only 6 or 5 people here. Frankly, I'm tired of even talking about that. But we don't stop, ladies and gentlemen. So please, if you love this channel, if you like me, I love you to support it by donating to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. Smash up the likes, smash up the likes. I know my main topic today is something that we touched on this past week, which was the passing of Carolyn Bryant-Donham, who was as far as I'm the principal instigator, as far as I'm concerned, in the Emmett Till murder and his kidnapping and his murder. And I have already done videos commenting about it. I want to talk about it a little bit more. Before I get into that, though, I first off want to talk about something, some of the other topics I had in mind a little bit today. Before I came on here, I Was just watching some stuff. I was watching, of course, the basketball game is on. I know a lot of people are into that. And I just saw, according to this, Golden State actually just went up. It's 87-81. Kings were leading earlier. But before we get into that, I do like to talk about some lighter stuff. I do. But one of the things I had in the hashtag, I had Steve Harvey's name trending because Steve Harvey was on Club Shay Shay's talk show podcast, Club Shay Shay. And I was just listening to some of it. So I'm going to get started with that. But Steve Harvey basically told Shannon Sharp, quote, a woman doesn't have to bring anything to the table. Now, I'm going to play, without hopefully getting a copyright strike, just a clip of it because, YouTube and whoever owns Shay Shay's podcast, they'll hit you with this stuff and do that. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So I'm going to go ahead and play that right quick for you all. And I want y'all to listen very carefully. The whole video is a 2 hour, it was a great interview. It was over 2 hours, but there are clips of it that are out. One of the things I found interesting about Steve Harvey was that he talked about and he admitted that there was beef within the Kings of Comedy, which we had heard for a long time at any rate. But Steve specifically talked about his 3 marriages and 2 divorces and how he married Marjorie Harvey. Now, I want y'all to listen to this briefly. And of course, fair use, I'm claiming fair use. I just want y'all to understand what's going on here and how anybody could take relationship advice from a 2-time divorcee. Now, just listen.
To talk about, he quoted Minister Louis Farrakhan, and then at the end of it, he said, "So choose wisely." And it was the best thing because a woman like an elevator button, man, they can take you up or down. If you get the right one, you got something. You get the wrong one, but it's like a man to a woman. If you get the right man, you can go somewhere. Right. You get the wrong man, you off. Like I heard you say one time, well, I was laughing so hard. You said you paid for a divorce. Yeah. I said, this dude right here was committed.
But see, I want people to think she was getting a divorce.
I want people to say this. Yo, see, she was getting a divorce. Them lips pouted out. She was getting a divorce. I just was gonna pay for it, Skip. I was gonna pay for it because I wanted. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted that booty, Steve. I wanted that booty. That booty was my patootie.
Already, I didn't break the home up because because you know how people take it to one with.
Yeah.
She was getting a divorce.
And him all the money.
Right.
Right. What's wrong with that?
Right.
If she was getting a divorce, what's wrong? Well, here's my take on it. That's the woman he was with, okay, but what everybody looking at is you got involved. You went on national TV, Shay, and talked about it. I paid. You were trying to get this woman's divorce, and you didn't end up with her, apparently. You wanted this girl. And Shannon was going to offer money for the divorce. So she was getting the divorce, but he's offering to pay for it. So if she was getting it already, so you say you didn't break, he's trying to say, I didn't break up the home. But why would you comment on some shit like this publicly? Because when somebody's getting divorced, that's a private thing. And yeah, people get divorced for any little thing, whether it's, well, I just can't look at her no more, get on my nerves, I'm tired, this person's having an affair. There are various reasons, it can be for what we have grounds for divorce, as we say, a fault divorce or a no fault. So it happens.
I'm trying to invest in my future.
Right.
See, these dudes kill me. That's what's wrong with this generation today. These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table?
Always got to bring out what your ass doing, because you young school cats, y'all don't know nothing about this old school. Old school, your ass, your ass better bring something to the table. your ass better bring something to the table, and it ain't just your appetite, nigga. You got to bring something for it. You got to bring it like they brought my hair like I brought back hair in the 90s, y'all. When I had the high top, it was up. That's what men do. Now, all jokes aside, so he says, what do you bring to the table? He's basically, and I'm gonna play the rest of it, but he's saying that a woman doesn't have to bring anything to the table. That's essentially what Steve is saying. And a lot of men are going back and forth over it. And I was even talking about it because I have my opinions.
You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you.
But what is it she's bringing to the table that will make you another you? You say, what does a woman have to bring to the table? I'll say that she's got to bring more than her appetite. You say a woman has to make a better you. Yeah, that's great. How do you do that? If you look at relationships today, especially with modern American women, I know of people who say the institution of marriage, men who don't want to get married because the risks outweigh the benefits. There are men who believe that. And is there some truth to it? But even aside from the institution, just with marriage, even just being in a relationship, there's a genuine disrespect for Black men in America and society. We all know that. And many of our women, because this is a gynocentric country, they're trained to believe that stuff. They got something there. Oh, he ain't shit. This is negative. He ain't shit. We broke up and took daddy out of the homes. And so, there is some truth to what they were saying about the breakup of the family unit in the 60s. Yes, that is true. They didn't want a strong Black man in the household. When you look at the TV show Good Times, Esther Roll had to fight to have John Amos, to have a Black, well, not just so much John Amos, but just to have a Black father for her children, because Norman Lear and the rest of the white writers behind Good Times, even though they didn't create it, it was created by Mike Evans and Eric Monty, they didn't think it worked in a situational comedy. But you have somebody like Steve Hudson, a woman ain't got to bring nothing to the table. She got to bring, it takes two to make one. Yes, the man is the provider in a relationship. Absolutely. The man leads the household, but does she understand that? That's what I talk about too, about the respect for marriage, the respect for the institution. Some women want to be married, but they don't want to be a wife. And you got to keep that in mind. But Steve Harvey is on his second marriage, is on his third marriage. He wrote a book called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Y'all think he had a 90-day rule waiting to get cooch? I'm going to finish playing this.
What else she need to slide up to the table with? What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
But what happens to when the woman tell you, I don't need a man, Steve?
Well, they need to, what? Okay, if you don't, how that's working? You know, how that's working? Who don't need no man?
I'm independent. I can do for myself.
Yeah, but why do you want to? Yeah, okay, you can drop a transmission. You can sandblast your house. But hell, do you want to?
No.
If somebody could get out there and drop this transmission for you and sandblast your house, why don't you go get your nails done? I'm not trying to reduce a woman to nothing else. Be all you can be. But damn, who don't need a man? That's a lie. What man don't need a woman? I tell you what. Try to live without them. Try to live your life without women. This ain't about la-da-da, man. This is some bullshit without women. If it wasn't for women, what would you? Aristotle Onassis said it best. He said, if women did not exist, all the money in the world would have no meaning. Dog, women is everything. They'd catch me out. They'd lick, man. But these young boys done forgot it because these women out here, they trying to be, they've had
that the young boys forgot it or the women don't want it. Aristotle Onassis, let's not forget, he said Aristotle Onassis said that if women want, if there were no women in the world, all the money in the world would be nothing. Aristotle Onassis was married twice. He was Jackie Kennedy's second husband after JFK. He was actually a Greek magnate. Many of y'all don't know that. He was in the shipping industry. But people take relationship advice from Steve Harvey. I don't know how much more they have left of it.
had to be independent because they ain't got the right man.
Okay.
But this system of marriage is still good.
Okay.
This system of a man taking care of a woman, that's really how it's supposed to be. All the rest of it's bullshit, man. And y'all need to quit tricking yourself with this new way of thinking. Because there's no way of thinking. This new way of thinking ain't getting y'all no damn where. I'm sorry. I got in trouble on one time. This group came after me because I said Marjorie belonged to me.
And they said she's not a possession. She's a person. She's a human.
She is. She mine. What is you talking about? She belonged to me, but I got news for you. I'm hers. I belong to her. See, if you don't like that system, carry your punk ass on. Go do something else and let me know how that work out for you. I want to belong to somebody.
Right.
I want somebody to belong to me. I take care of my wife and my family.
Did you ever feel like you belonged to somebody? In your previous relationship, did you feel like...
Shit, Steve Harvey didn't even take care of his family. His first wife and second wife, he left them. From what I've heard, from what I believe, what was reported. So a lot of people, Steve was simping it up a little bit. Steve been saying some stuff. He even talked about how we didn't steal nothing from when he was talking about old boy was a Young Thug, talking about the music. We stole all this. This us. Steve Harvey has always said this stuff, but I brought this up to y'all attention. I was amused by it. We can't take celebrities like Steve Harvey serious. Yes, he's entitled to his opinion. Yes, he's a married man. Yes, he has accomplished a lot for himself in life, coming from homelessness. He built the Kings of, being a part of the Kings of Comedy with Bernie CL, DL said, and, that was all great, having this TV show, radio show, but just because you are rich and wealthy doesn't mean you're right about everything. Marriage is a two-way commitment. You give you trade in the I for us, the I for we. Everything is not just on the man. Yeah, the man is the provider of the household, the leader. That's true, but there are women who don't like that. Like I said before, they prefer the title of being married, but don't like to be a wife. Yeah, Marjorie was married to a drug lord. That's known. Yeah, and even he came out and had some issues with Steve Harvey. He said, I love your mother, but your dad. But I gotta talk to you because your daddy was a punk ass. I'm not like your punk ass daddy, and I ain't backing down from that. But he came out of prison and he's been on some podcast. He was on a podcast talking about Steve Harvey and her marriage and how even Marjorie Like he said, Marjorie didn't like big lipped men at one time. Steve, we know, got them lips. But y'all can go find that. But I thought it was interesting Steve Harvey was saying that because now they're coming at Steve Harvey. And look, Steve Harvey, if Steve Harvey didn't have any money, be real, do y'all think his wife would be with him? He didn't have the life. He was extremely lucky and worked hard because being in an entertainment business, I know just from experience, just looking at it and being in it, how cutthroat it is. You're going to get more no's than you're going to get yeses. And some people will not respect you unless you actually had, let's be real, if you actually had money. That's just how it is. Yeah, man, I just thought that was stupid of him to say it, but I'm not surprised he would get it. I'm gonna simp this up. I don't give a damn. But y'all ass hit that like, share, and subscribe button. But what did y'all think of Steve Harvey's comments? A woman doesn't have to bring nothing to the table. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're gonna get into, yeah, no money, no Marjorie. Nerd says Marjorie trained him. I was just listening. He had tried to get at Marjorie before she was even divorced, it seems, because he knew her, and they didn't get married, remember, until like 2000. They didn't get together about 2006, 2007. I know Steve Harvey don't give a damn about me. I don't give a damn about your ass either. All right. So, fam, let's get into what I want to talk about tonight. In all seriousness, you know, I'm still wrapping my head, not wrapping my head, I should say, but I'm still um, processing. I don't even know how to process it because we knew the amount of time we should die, but there's still a sting to my chest that none of the people that were involved in Emmett Till's death, in his kidnapping, in his murder, his lynching, none of them have been prosecuted. And if you remember when I showed everybody that video regarding Ed Bradley, how the late Ed Bradley, when he did an interview with 60 Minutes with some people who were tied to the investigation of Emmett Till's death and individuals who were suspects as well. There were, at least to my knowledge, 5 people that were at the time who were suspects by the FBI that were still alive, including some blacks that were involved as well, witnesses that were there that testified. One, Willie Reed, who actually saw Emmett in the back of the pickup truck, that J.W. Millam's pickup truck, and Roy Bryant saw these individuals, and even some blacks as well, and even heard the screams coming from the barn where they beat and tortured Emmett Till to death. That was in 2004 when Ed Bradley did that interview that you all saw that I played for you a while back. What is sad and why I'm looking at it is that Ed Bradley, Keith Beauchamp, who was a documentary filmmaker, stated and told Mamie Till he wouldn't rest until Emmett got justice. And I looked, and despite the fact that there were some efforts made, even on my, and I'm not bragging on this, but even on my part, because I showed you all and told you all the letter that I wrote to the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi. I have written a follow-up letter as recently recently. I've written a follow-up letter. As you know, I sent one back in July, and I sent one sometime earlier this year in response because I never got a response from the Attorney General of Mississippi, Miss Fitch. So, had some charges been brought, and by charge against Carolyn Bryant-Donham, even if I could accept, I would have even accepted an accessory after the fact. I would have accepted something like that, at least to show somebody got charged with something for their role in this. Because we know that Carolyn Bryant-Donham lied about what happened and apparently perjured herself, because I played the video for you all where the historian stated that Carolyn Donham Bryant told the attorney for her husband in a deposition that the things we heard about the wolf whistle, the grabbing of the hand never happened, yet she testified under oath that Emmett had grabbed her. Said, I had white women before. She made Emmett out to be a brute. And we know that wasn't the case. I can't sit up here and say, yeah, oh, she gonna go to hell, all this stuff. Yeah, that's likely to happen. God has the final authority on everything. I dig that. But I listened to Jason Black's, was partially inspired by listening to Jason Black and his broadcast last night. I still look at the fact that there was a failure on the parts of the state of Mississippi, that county in Sumner, that town in Sumner where the trial was happening, the state, the city, and yes, even to the Department of Justice. Because if I have the information that I'm telling you all right now, how we knew she lied, her memoir that's coming out in 2036, that somehow or another News One was able to get a leak and get the leak and actually look at what she was alleging as to what happened, then how come the federal government didn't even want to consider the opportunity of bringing charges against this old bag of gas? They had this information, ladies and gentlemen. As I stated before, I showed you the proof that they had that showed that she was involved in Emmett Till's death. That's her at the trial, leaning on the head of her husband, Roy Bryant. And that's Emmett. I listened to brother Jason Black's broadcast yesterday, and something he told me where he had gotten in touch with Emmett Till's family and wanted to move forward, and had spoken with them, but didn't hear much after a while. After a while, and getting in touch with them, they never talked further. He heard very little. Despite his pleas, despite his chances trying to do something and move the needle forward. We tried to move the needle forward. I wrote letters. I'm not doing this to toot my own horn. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I'm just pissed off at the fact that nothing moved forward. We see other groups, Nazi war criminals, who get prosecuted even into some in their hundreds. And let's not forget, they had Nazi war criminals living here in the United States. Some who were protected by the United States. If you get a chance, look up this declassified document called Operation Paperclip, where they had Nazi officers working in NASA because they were helping the United States go to the moon and the space projects. All those programs. You have tribunals that are still running to this day to lock up Nazi war criminals. And yet, this is one here. Former concentrated camp secretary convicted. This is a secretary. I don't even think she even I don't think she even murdered anybody. But she was accused of aiding and abetting the murder of 10,505 people and an attempted murder of 5 people. And they gave her, now this of course is overseas, but the point being, they gave her a sentence of 2 years. A 97-year-old woman who worked as a Nazi. This is just in December of last year. Irmgard Faulkner got a 2-year suspended sentence. I want y'all to look at this. In a district in the northern town of Itzhol. She got a 2-year suspended sentence for aiding and abetting the murder of 10,505 people and attempted murder of 5 people. And this is to be one of the country's last trials for World War II crimes. And most of these Nazi criminals, a lot of them actually have, of course, as you know, by now have passed on due to old age. But the point being, they wheeled her ass in at 97 years old. She's got on a K95 mask, and she's sitting in a wheelchair awaiting the verdict. Now, this is overseas in Germany, and you didn't think they could have done this here in the United States, where there is no statute of limitation on murder. And we know that, and I bring it up because we know Carolyn Bryant-Donham lied multiple times and was protected. Go back and listen. Let's go back right quick and listen to what this is what happened here on CBS. Listen carefully to what, and I hate there's going to be an ad. No ad, okay. But just listen to
of making advances.
This is
towards her. He's gained national attention.
I think this is a guy who's over. Let's see who's this professor that was speaking.
14-year-old Emmett Till was kidnapped and brutally murdered by Bryant's then husband and his half-brother in Mississippi in 1955 over the allegation. The 2 men were acquitted in his killing by an all-white jury, but later confessed in an interview. The case gained national attention after Emmett Till's mother allowed Jet magazine to take and publish photos of her son's mutilated body in an open casket. The horrific image shocked the nation and served as the catalyst for the civil rights movement. Years after Till's death, Donham admitted to fabricating parts of her story, although she was never charged with a crime. Professor Davis Houck joins us now. He's a professor of rhetorical studies at Florida State University, and he helped found the Emmett Till Memory Project. He also co-authored a book about the media response to Till's murder. Professor Houck, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me on, Jim.
Sure. I'd like to start by asking you about sort of any interactions you had with the Bryant family.
I did. Back in 2009, word got out that the family was shopping a memoir. And I edited a book series with the University Press of Mississippi. And so I figured, why not? I wrote a note to the family. I had an address and I sent it. And of course, I didn't figure I'd hear anything. Well, a week later, I get a phone call from a woman who identifies herself as Marcia Bryant. Marcia Bryant is Carolyn Bryant's daughter-in-law. And Marcia Bryant, first of all, wanted to know, how did you know we had a manuscript? And then proceeded to talk my ear off for about a half an hour about her mom being innocent. And the family's really never spoken. And so I just tried to keep her on the line, keep her talking. But I'll never forget how she signed off as we were getting ready to hang up. She said, your letter came in the mail, and another letter came in the mail with it. And in that letter was a death threat. And so what I gathered from that was the family worked very hard over many years to protect her, because I think those death threats were not uncommon.
All right, so Carolyn Bryant herself hardly gave any interviews after the case, but if we have this right, in 2008, she reportedly told a historian by the name of Tim Tyson that key parts of her testimony were not true. So how does all of that figure into what her daughter-in-law was telling you? And what do you make of it?
Well, the FBI investigated Tim Tyson's claim that Carolyn Bryant supposedly recanted to him, and they did not find that evidence credible from Tim Tyson. And
so they didn't find Tim Tyson's evidence based off his conversation credible. Now, let's not forget when I showed you all the article from the Mississippi, I bookmarked this, excuse me. Let's not forget that in July of 2022, Emmett Till's family called for justice because they found the unserved warrant that you see. I have it up here. The Emmett Till Legacy Foundation and the family of Emmett Till, they had a copy of the warrant that was served, that was unserved, I should say, that was signed and dated on August 29, 1950. This was around the time, remember, Emmett Till was missing around this time. And they filed a search warrant for the arrest warrant for J.W. Millam, Roy Bryant, and Mrs. Roy Bryant, signed by the clerk of court. It looks like a Martha Lamb was the clerk of court at the time in the county of LaFleur, Mississippi. And it was certified authentic. But we know from a racist sheriff's department at that time that they did not want to have her arrested. They actually tried to indict Roy Bryant and J.W. Millam on kidnapping charge. But let's not forget, at the same time, these men, after being acquitted for murder and obviously not being charged with the grand jury, by the grand jury for kidnapping, they did an interview with Look magazine admitting they did everything to this boy. And if a grand jury wanted, based off of those admissions in that magazine, and even with the federal government now this is in the 1950s, they could have filed, if they wanted to, federal civil rights charges while those bastards were alive. They elected not to. Now, I'm going to finish playing what the professor is saying here, because he goes in and tells you that Carolyn Bryant-Donham lied. I'm going to pay attention, and y'all listen to this. Excuse me.
This summer, the memoir, the unpublished memoir, leaked. And for me, what's interesting is in that memoir, she sticks exactly to the story she gave on the witness stand on September 22nd, 1955. So I take her at her word, and her word, we know, is really just a bunch of lies. We know this because on September 2nd, just 2 days after Emmett's body was discovered, she was interviewed by a lawyer, and in that kind of deposition, she indicates what happened in that store. And Emmett did not put his hands on her. He did not talk dirty to her. He did not talk fresh to her. He did not talk about being with white women before. And so those were lies that she concocted on the witness stand 3 weeks later.
I just want to be clear about this, Professor. Never in the years after this did she ever express even a syllable of remorse, correct?
Well, in her memoir, she does do that, but she never did it in front of a camera. She never did it in a public venue. So you're right. The Emmett Till community, the family, wanted to hear from her directly, but that never happened.
All right, so the Bryant family obviously has had to live connected to this with the legacy. I'm just curious, have any of the other generations said anything about this in the almost 70 years since?
They really haven't. They've kept a real tight lid on her story. What I'll be interested to see is in the days and weeks ahead, did Carolyn Bryant perhaps leave instructions for somebody to talk? And we'll see. We've long wanted the family to say something, but again, the sons, the grandkids, nobody has said a word.
It's so important, obviously, to continue to tell the story of what happened. You have the Emory Till Memory Project that you helped found to help do that. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into what the Emmett Till Memory Project is all about?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we founded this project back in 2015. It was a joint project between the University of Kansas, my colleague Dave Tell, and Patrick Weems at the Emmett Till Interpretive Center, and my colleagues here at Florida State. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to educate a new generation, especially younger generations who are growing up on smartphones and who can go to the Mississippi Delta as well as Chicago and study the case from their phones. So it's a GPS-enabled app that takes you from site to site and tells the story, along with archival images, as well as pretty detailed narratives of what happened at that particular location.
Professor Davis Houck doing some important work, making sure the memory of Emmett Till is preserved and what happened to him is never forgotten. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, you heard.
What happens when an incurable optimist confronts an incurable disease? A question worth pondering.
Okay, so you heard what he said. What Professor Huck said was she sticks exactly to what she originally stated 70 years ago, nearly 70 years ago in that memoir. But when she gave the deposition, is what I'm looking at. And I'm also looking at the statements from FBI veterans. Now, the feds could have prosecuted them like they did with Mississippi burning. Yes, yes, I am aware, especially as an attorney, the FBI's authority to prosecute and the feds, Department of Justice authority to prosecute cases. It is true, it's limited. However, what you saw, for instance, in the case of the three civil rights workers, Schwimmer, Cheney, and Goodman, that were murdered by the Klan, members of the local law enforcement who were part of that. There was a statute that stated that if you tried to if a person, one or two or more people conspired to violate someone's federal rights, their civil rights, what's called a federal conspiracy statute that was passed in 1948. So there's no question that this is in law. Nearly 6 years ago, they could have prosecuted Emmett Till's killers. Now, they asked what civil rights were violated. Well, I would say for Emmett, every right he had under the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, due process, his First Amendment, his rights to free speech. You said he whistled at a white woman. How you know that? That even if he did, he could speak. His Fourth Amendment rights, unreasonable search and seizures. The right to be free. Even though these weren't police officers, they acted in a crime. Civil Rights Act, bunch of things you could think of.
Advances
I could think of.
Towards her has died.
She was interviewed by a lawyer, 55. So I take her evidence credible from Tim Tyson. And
Now look at this.
this summer, the memoir, the unpublished memoir, leaked. And for me, what's interesting is in that memoir, she sticks exactly to the story she gave on the witness stand on September 22nd, 1955. So I take her at her word, and her word, we know, is really just a bunch of lies. We know this because on September 2nd, just 2 days after Emmett's body was discovered, she was interviewed by a lawyer. And in that kind of deposition, she indicates what happened in that store. And Emmett did not put his hands on her. He did not talk dirty to her. He did not talk fresh to her. He did not talk about being with white women before. And so those were lies that she concocted on the witness stand 3 weeks later.
I just want to be clear about this.
So 3 weeks later, she gets on a witness stand and lies. That's perjury. And it was involved in a homicide. So the state of Mississippi and the FBI had this information because the FBI investigators, they didn't investigate or claim to investigate Emmett Till's murder. What they stated, when you read this article from the Mississippi Free Press, they stated they investigated the threats to the Tallahatchie County Sheriff, Carolyn Bryant, and the defense and prosecution, but they didn't actually investigate the murder. They didn't investigate the actual kidnapping and murder until 2004. And we know, at least, according to what this FBI agent said, because I read the letter, I read the article from back in 2022, that he actually said Carolyn Bryant lied to him. Bryant-Donham lied about being an abused wife. She never said that. And the grand jury, when they were looking to indict her on manslaughter charges, he was upset that the prosecutor at that time was trying to bring up a murder statute, knowing it would have been hard to get that. And how a grand jury even thought, hey, she is a abused victim, an abused spouse. There were blacks, and I'll say this, that were involved in Emmett Till's kidnapping and murder. According to Keith Beauchamp, he said they were there because they were supposed to do what they were supposed to do, and if they didn't cooperate, they probably would have been killed with Emmett. But I don't absolve them for it because, you have the ability to say no. You traveled along and went along with this, and I don't know what was in their head, back in their minds. But still, how do we let a child? I don't even want to play armchair quarterback with this, but I'm still upset that he was let, basically, his great uncle and family that were there let these men in the house. Granted, they had weapons. but you let them take the child. And this is FBI agent Cynthia Leotel, who led the Bureau's Cold Case Initiative from 2008 to 2011. She said they couldn't get any charges. It would have been hard because, number one, he wasn't kidnapped across state lines, murdered on federal land, and an explosive device wasn't used. But if his civil rights were violated, they could have used that because it was a criminal conspiracy. Two individuals kidnapped someone. Yes, 14th Amendment. Remember, it's a fundamental right for individuals to travel. You kidnap someone, they're not traveling under their own free will. And the key was to use the conspiracy law that was violated. One audience member, I like this. When they had this was from a meeting in Baton Rouge when they talked about the Till case. An audience member who was a student at Southern University and an HBC, which is in Baton Rouge, pointed out that Bryant, Millam, and the others gravely violated Till's First Amendment rights, his rights to free speech. After all, Till's kidnapping and murder resulted from comments he allegedly made to one of the murderer's wives, Carolyn Bryant. No investigation file exists. Now, Keith was a producer of the film Till. I've never seen it. But he investigated the allegations and found that several of the men, not just Bryant and Millam, but also some blacks who were involved, as I stated earlier. And she was nearly, we know, prosecuted back in 2007, but they protected her. He was off by a barn. One barn to the left is the proper murder site. The sheriff, judges, jurors, prosecuting attorneys, and all defense attorneys, except one, were dead. We knew there was a trial transcript, but we didn't know where it was at. He continued in Baton Rouge. Since the 1960s, we knew there was no actual true autopsy performed on Till. There was a doctor who looked at the body, very biased, if you read the court transcript. They even tried to say that they didn't know that was the body, but a 2005 autopsy exhaustively proved that Emmett Till was the body pulled from the Tallahatchie River and buried in Chicago. Interviews with Carolyn Bryant, who is still alive today, included strange admissions contradicting her earlier testimony about the night of Till's murder. Carolyn Bryant, Roy Bryant's wife, admitted to killing her in 2005 that she remembered Roy Bryant, Millam, and a friend, Elmer Kimball, bringing Till to their house, supposedly unharmed. She doesn't talk long about it, Killinger says, but what she does say is, I couldn't have identified him, something to that effect. When in fact, that was the whole purpose for them being there. So that didn't even make sense. For her to say that's the boy, so I got this kind of half confession from her that he's brought to her, but she won't say I identified him. And Killinger expressed his disappointment at the failure to secure an indictment. Now, the reason why I talked about Emmett Till's family, I just want to say this too, is that if you remember this, you may or may not know, but when I bring up the Nazis, in fact, there is a the head of the Chamrumkowski, who was the head of the Jewish Council of Elders in the Lotz Ghetto. Lotz Ghetto. See if I'm pronouncing it right. Lotz Ghetto. He was infamous, and he was killed by the Santa Commandos, inmates who worked at the Nazi death camps in Auschwitz. And he made a statement, a speech, when they came for the liquidation of the ghettos, the Germans. Give me your children. Jason Black talks about this often. He's talked about this before. Back in September of 1942, he pleaded with the Jews in the ghetto to give up children 10 years of age and younger, as well as the elderly over 65, so that others might survive. They gave and handed these children over under his command to the Nazis, where they transferred these kids, brought these kids to the death camps to die. He says, in my old age, I must stretch out my hands and beg. Brothers and sisters, hand them over to me. Fathers and mothers, give me your children. A man should never have to give over his children to another man, let alone leading them to their death. Some historians have called Rumkowski as a traitor and as a Nazi collaborator. Rumkowski aimed at fulfilling the Nazi demands with the help of their own or security police if necessary. His rule, unlike the leaders of other ghettos, was marked with abuse of his own people, coupled with physical liquidation of political opponents. He was a scumbag. He cared about his own living, not others. And when he went, and he himself was, when he was no longer needed, was sent to the death camps, the Jews there killed him for his betrayal. I bring this up because I'm still, lamenting at the fact that Emmett was killed and was basically allowed to be, and shouldn't have happened. And while we may not get justice for him, we can use this as a stone reminder that we should never, ever, ever again let anyone get away with harming our children. Let these even these some of these civil rights cases, if they can be prosecuted, those that are still active in the books, let us see, so that those families who lost those loved ones can get justice if it be fitting, if it be possible. Because when you allow something like this to happen and go unpunished and unchecked, then the same perpetrators, or not the same perpetrators, the ones that they pass these ideas and ideologies onto the next generation, will likely continue to do that with our kids and grandkids. And that is something, a world that I can't stand to live in. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Last thing I want to talk about, y'all, is this. The entanglement, I told y'all it would be fun. We're going to have fun too. The entanglement is over. After 5 years, Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk Show has been axed. The Red Table Talk has been axed, ladies and gentlemen. Reason why, of course, they're saying that it was cut due to cost initiative. In other words, it was costing too much money to produce. So recently, Nick Cannon, a lot of people have been talking about Red Table getting talked. They've been men have been celebrating, straight men have been celebrating online because we know the most, Jada Pinkett Smith has had her husband come on the show, and the most infamous episode is that talk that took place in 2020, in which the Oscar winner Will Smith sat down with his wife to discuss her entanglement with the singer August Alsina. And Nick Cannon actually commented on Red Table Talk. He was talking about, he said it was toxic. He called it toxic table. Of course, his the mother of three of Nick Cannon's children, Abby De La Rosa, disagreed, telling him to stop criticizing the series. She said it was an honest table. It feels human, like they're human. It feels relatable. They're trash too, like the rest of us. Speak for yourself. Shit. I don't feel trashy at all. I don't go on international TV on the internet and put out that I fucked my son's friend. That's human. You can be human. Some shit just don't belong, period. The TV show had filmed over 129 episodes for 5 seasons, and as a result, Meta, which owns Facebook, has stated that they are moving in another direction. This was actually cost cutting. I'm not aware, though there is another Red Table Talk that Gloria Estefan's family also hosts, and I don't know if that is canceled. They didn't say that, but their Red Table Talk, as of now, which first had its first episode on October 7th, 2020, from what I've seen, has not been, I don't think it is canceled. I think it's still on the air. I believe it's with Gloria Estefan, her daughter and niece. So her daughter, Emily, and niece, Lily, are on this show. And we know Jada Pinkett Smith, her mom, Gammy, and her daughter, Willow, were on this show. But yes, that Oscar slap, look, that really, I think that had a role in it? Yeah. That had to have a role in it because that changed everything. People looked at Jada as being and Nick Cannon even saying she was at fault for that Oscar slap. She embarrassed her husband on national television, on the internet. And I gotta fault Will Smith. Everything is not all on Jada. Yeah, I wouldn't blame everything because Will plays a role in that too. But why would you even think of doing this? And that's not the first time though she's embarrassed her husband. She has said embarrassing things. I'm not surprised by this. I'm surprised. I didn't know the show would be canceled, but I think that definitely the Oscar slap probably made them think twice about renewing this. Now, they're talking about finding a new home for it. I'm sure Tubi can use the ratings. Yeah, Adrienne Banfield Norris, that's Jada's mom. Now, her mom actually looks real good, but they've had different celebrities that have come on the show. Sierra, Tiffany Haddish, Rumble Willis, Queen Latifah, and Lauren London. And I'm not surprised Nick Cannon's baby mama Abby De La Rosa defending it because she probably was into some of this shit that Jada is, for all we know. And a lot of women will go to new lows to defend stuff like this. This is natural. This is what the fuck you saying? We're trash too. So if you, so shit, if your brother, so you telling me that in the past, if you robbed and raped men, like Cardi B said, but in the past, you think that's something you would want to talk about? That's normal. I like you're talking about yourself. I like licking assholes. Okay, that's what you do. You think you would actually like to talk about that on TV? Like, what is it with this what is it with this generation that likes ratchetness? Trash TV. Jerry Springer, yeah. I, just like Jerry Springer, his show got canceled, before he died, but we celebrating all of this shit. So yeah, the Red Table Talk's been at. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that it's been canceled based off what happened last year at the Oscars. And to save money, they had 5 years. They did 123 episodes. If this were television, you would be in syndication by now. Probably a year ago. But I mean, I've seen Jada. They've talked about foolishness on that show for years, and finally the entanglement is over. We don't have to hear it anymore. But if it finds another home, hopefully it might be Tubi, and who knows, BET might even do it since they put the Breakfast Club up there, and they both deal with iHeartRadio, so that might perish the thought. But nobody watches BET anyway. All right, y'all. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you like this channel. If you would like to support me by donating to the Cash App, the PayPal, or Zelle, Venmo, you may do so, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap things up. I just saw Golden State beat Sacramento. Sacramento had Golden State up, y'all, and they still lost. Chef Curry put up 50 points. Sacramento let them back in the game. All right. So I'm gonna roll up out of here, y'all. It's been great. I got some music and some stuff I'm gonna work on, so I'm about to get out of here. But I had to vent a little bit just to talk about that Emmett Till thing because it still bothered me. But yeah, Red Table Talk is asked. So yeah, what did y'all think of? I mean, maybe it'll be on. Maybe it'll be on. What's that other channel? The Grio Network. Have Mark Lamont Hill come on the Red Table Talk. How he had some entanglements at Freaknik. No, they didn't know how to close them out. They've always been that. They struggled when they went to Golden State and they lost by a point. They actually had a chance to win that game. Yeah, but Red Table Talk, man, yeah, I'm going to get up out of here. But Red Table Talk, I'm not going to miss it. So the entanglement is over, brothers and sisters. Find another entanglement. No, find no entanglements. Just get a hobby. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you, Derek Bailey. Thank you, Star, everyone that's been on here. Yeah, order some Creole seasoning now. Noni's Creole blends. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Noni goes great with every dish. Thank you, Curly Girl, Nerd, Stacy, Quinton, Donald, Washington. Well, Club Shay Shay always got to look good. It's always got to be great. That's why I had that fireplace. Don't hate on me, brother. Don't hate me, brother Donald. Because the fireplace is always good. Shay like it nice and warm for the ladies. We don't want it too cold. We don't want it freezing up here like I played in Denver in the snow. That's why I got out of Denver. I said, hell with this. I'm going to Baltimore, even if it's raining in Baltimore. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's not. But at least we right there, we can get that lobster. We get that blue crab. All right, family. We'll get on out of here. Peace. Be safe, be one, be blessed. I'll holla.